Bonjour, mon ami. It's like, moi parler français terrible. I'm sorry. I will try to, the good news is that because of the fact that I get a little bit more time, I'll try to talk a little bit slower. But the good news is they're recording it so you can like watch it on video and just slow down the speed on it a little bit. So hopefully that'll help. Let's try to move this up. And there we go. So yeah, this is the title of my talk, Around the World in 80 Cons. Basically, what I'm doing is a talk on hacking culture, and the talk is really weird because I started off saying this is what my talk was going to be about. And then I changed. Halfway through my discovery and research, I realized that's not what my talk should be about. It's got to be about this. And so then halfway I changed here. So you'll see a difference as the talk goes through. You'll see how it changes and how the message changes as well. And also, just as a fair warning, is as you know, it's like I'll give a rant talk one year, and then I'll give a hacking, offensive talk the next year. Well, last year I talked about spear phishing, so we know what this talk is going to be about, right? Yes, I'm going to rant, so I apologize in advance for that. A little bit about me. I think one of the main things that you need to know about me is the fact that I love to travel. I love to not just go and visit someplace. I like to experience it. I like to be able to walk around. I like to be able to go through the city. I spend at least one day of each trip for the first time in a new country. I will spend a day walking through the city, not going through the tourist sections, but going through the city. I spent 11 hours in the Zidane district in Beijing just walking through the area, just like in a big circle around the city, and ending up back at my hotel just because I just wanted to see what it looked like, just to see the culture. I spent 6 to 7 hours walking from the Coptic area of Cairo up the Nile River, up to the Cairo Tower to the Coptic Center. I do know that there was a great Pizza Hut on the Nile River, which was really nice. So that was convenient. Also, I just love experiencing it. I just love being able to travel, and I love being able to see the cultures, and I love going through, walking through the streets of Paris, walking around. It's like I spent over 7 hours. I walked all the way from Notre Dame, down the river, past the Louvre, up to Arc de Triomphe, over to the Eiffel Tower. I was very tired by the time I was done, but it was great because I got to see the city. I got to see the way it was. That's what I wanted it to be about. I wanted it to be about the different hacking cultures and how I saw it. But one thing is very important. I don't speak for anybody else but me. This is my experience. Like Russ Rogers says, I like tacos. That means all hackers like tacos, right? We're all different. We all have different perspectives. We all have different perceptions. I want to give you a little view of mine to show you exactly how I see the world. And as you can tell through this talk, it's going to be a little bit US-centric because, that's where I'm from. But hopefully it'll speak to everybody. It'll speak to everyone. So the one thing I don't want this talk to be about is about when I talk about hacking around the world, when I talk about hacking in other countries, the one thing that mostly everybody goes to all right off the bat is what? Cyber warfare. Nation state hacking. I don't care about the government stuff. Because one of the things that we have to talk about is the numbers. It's like, and we love numbers. We love to show what one country is doing to the other country, right? It's like the Verizon data breach report. And so, it's a great report. I'm not saying anything bad about the report. But do you notice something maybe is not totally represented well? Maybe there's some parts missing. Just a little bit petite, maybe. It's like, but they're trying. They're trying to get their information out there. They're trying to record that data. This year, that was last year's. This year's they changed the report a little bit. I love how they do the report. Do you understand how this report works? If I say that somewhere in, say, Podunk, Indiana, someone had a breach, someone had an incident, we can cover in all the U.S. now. That represents everybody because there was that one breach in that one little city. The whole country is represented now. Is that totally accurate? Seriously? Mont Saint-Michel got breached? All of France is now represented. Yay. No, I don't think so. But that's what they've got good numbers for what they can see. And other reports, there's other reports out there that do stuff. I love the TrustWave report. Wow. I hope their graphics department got a bonus because that's beautiful. I mean, who doesn't like pie charts? I love pie, right? It's like we all love pie, like the pie charts. But do you notice something else about this report? This was last year's report. Are there any areas around the world that may not be, you know, there might still be stuff going on, but we're not seeing? I mean, it's great to see all these different attacks coming from all these different people, and the fact that the U.S. is the majority of them. But, you know, it's like, it's great to see that, but are we seeing the whole story? Maybe not. This is this year's. Wow. Their graphics department was really motivated from last year, right? They had to up their game. Look how beautiful that looks like a party invite, right? It's like I couldn't tell if it was actually telling me metrics or inviting me to a rave. It's like, but either way, some good numbers there, some good information. But once again, is it all the information? It's one of the reasons why I like this report. I love this website, hackmageddon.com. First of all, the main reason, of course, pie chart, you know, great, awesome. But you know what else he did? He says, like, I'm not just going to do a pie chart. I'm going to put the flag of the country it represents on it. Because I'm from America. We don't usually know other countries' flags until we start invading them. So that's awesome to have. It's like, so we were able to, that's way more educational than the usual pie charts. So I'm very thankful for that. It's like, but one of the things I liked about it the most was the disclaimer that he has on his website. It's a very good disclaimer. I want to make sure that we all pay attention to it. Again, no need to repeat that data must be taken very carefully since they do refer only to discovered attacks, the so-called tip of the iceberg, and hence do not pretend to be exhaustive, but only aim to provide a high-level overview of the global cyber landscape. That is an awesome disclaimer. I'll forgive the use of the word cyber because it was such a great disclaimer. Because straight up, it says it doesn't pretend to be an exhaustive. It's only showing what he sees. Every report you see out there, usually when it's talking about a global landscape, it is only talking about what it can see, their perspective, their perception. All the vendors and all the other sales teams, they love to use those reports saying, this is the Bible. This is the gospel according to whatever company made the report. This is what you need to know. This is all that you need to know. That is not the truth. Those reports are a great perception and perspective and a look into what's going on. It is not everything. Some reports deal more with data. This is a great report. I thought at first this was like a snapshot from War Games, but this is actually a report from a website, digitalattackmap.com, and this report shows numbers. This shows a 1%, but if you look, this is only for May 9th, this one little snapshot, and it paints a picture. It paints a skewed picture because I guarantee you on May 10th, it was probably reversed going the other way, right? Because that's how we roll. So it's like, so it's only showing that 1%. You can't use these reports in one snapshot to paint a picture and saying, this is what's going on. Though a lot of companies like to be able to tell you, I've got this report, it's giving you the definitive standard of what's going on because we've done all that research on it, right? There's a certain report out there that likes to say that likes to say, we know exactly what's going on. This is more targeted. It's like, I tell people, it's like, I don't know if you're familiar with Tower Security, but I really say at some time during his childhood, China broke into his school and stole his lunch money because he really, really doesn't like those guys. It's like, and you can tell by the report, it's not too pretty. But it's still, this is showing, even though it's specific, it is showing a skewed perspective of it. It is showing a skewed perspective. It's showing just what they want to report, what they see, and how they see it. And it's not just me. I don't think it's just my opinion that that report's just a little bit out there. Because of the fact I did a Google image search for APT1 report, this was my first result from Google Images. So I'm not the only one. Someone else agrees with me that maybe just a little bit, slanted one way, against one certain group. And so, up until this week, my biggest problem was with how the mandate report was presented and secured, and the data, though, was accurate to what they received. It was made in a way that was trying to propagandize what was going on. I was mistaken. There are worse vendors out there that are trying to create propaganda. That is disgusting. That is my personal opinion, that this is one of the worst sales slides or sales emails I have ever seen in my life. Basically what they're saying is that our product can detect Chinese characters, and so therefore we know when there's an APT. Because that's all you're telling me. You're telling me if your company security product is based on racial profiling, that tells me you don't understand the problem and you shouldn't be in this industry. That's what that shows me. This is ridiculous that we've gotten to this, that we think that this is okay, that this is good marketing. But for just a second, let's stop and think about that. Let's stop and talk about the Chinese threat, because we're talking about global warfare, and we're talking about cyber warfare, and we're talking about all those other, really cool topics and stuff, that don't really happen that much effectively. Let's talk about China. Let's get that out of the way. Let's get that, elephant in the room. Let's get it out of there. The Chinese are bad because we're told that they spy on their citizens. They spy on other countries. They infect other nation computers with malware. They try to censor the press. They try to suppress protesters. In America, that's the propaganda that we hear. That's what we hear. Those are the reports that we get. So I was thinking about that, and it's like I read these reports and I see all these vendors talking to me about all the threats and why I should be afraid and why I should be scared and why I should make sure that my blinky lighty firewall is protecting me from the APT, from the cyber whatever. If it's a drinking game, we're all going to be drunk by the time I'm finished. It's like, why should we protect ourselves from all that? Well, let's go and break it down one by one. Let's go by this list and see exactly how bad they are. First of all, they spy on their citizens. That's horrible. Oh, wait, that's us. My bad. It's like, I love the one here. There's one story where it says, NSA admits employees spied on the husbands, boyfriends, and girlfriends. How sad is that? So now you got to get spies to spy on the spies that are spying on their spouses, which even though we're spying on everybody else, it doesn't matter. They're spying specifically on their spouses and friends. It's just really bad. It's really sad that we got to, how many spies does it take to spy on people spying? And there's another one here. This was last week. Emails show feds asking Florida cops to deceive the judge. So what happens when the federal government gets caught tapping illegally their citizens and stuff that are taking them to court on that evidence? Well, the only thing you can do, you intimidate the judge and stuff, and make sure you lie to them and stuff, and tell them, say, hey, let's just forget about that part. So that seems reasonable, right? Hello? Dan? Hello? My mic's on. How loud am I? Can y'all still hear me? Hello? Hello? I got an hour. I'll wait. Hello? Can you hear me in the back? Raise your hand. All right. There we go. Screw it. I don't care. I'm going to keep going. So that's the other thing that we talk about.
Allume-le que je vois. 1, 2, 1.
It's not that I'm scared, There we go. It's not like I'm afraid. I start talking about the government, all of a sudden my mic stops working. I'm not paranoid or anything, but I'm just saying that seemed a little suspicious. Okay, I don't know who that guy is, but it's like make sure he stays away from the mic cord. Okay, good. So here we go. So we got this going on. So what's the other problem that we're talking about? Well, they spy on other countries. They shouldn't do that. That's not a good thing for them to do. Oh. You know what really hurts me the most is look how sad we made Merkel. She's German. Do you know how hard it is to make them that sad? I felt bad for her. I mean, she was growed by George W. Bush and she didn't get that bad. So I'm really upset about that. I also love this one right here. It's like, it talks about, the Italian magazine says that U.S. spies listen to the Pope. The Vatican says unaware. Come on, people. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care if you're atheist, Buddhist, Islamic, Christian, whatever, Jewish. I don't care. We have to agree on one thing. This is a pretty good Pope. We like this Pope. He's a cool Pope. He does selfies. I mean, come on. Who can't like that guy? I mean, that other Pope with the red shoes was a little sketchy, okay? I could understand him. But not this guy. Not this Pope. He's a cool Pope. But we're still spying on him. And we need to spy on everybody, right? So we can get good intel, so we can know, we won't be surprised by anything that goes on. We won't be surprised of any of their actions unless they happen somewhere in Russia, Europe, the Middle East, or Asia. But other parts, I'm sure we're covering really well, and we're not going to be surprised by anything. So what was that other thing I said that the Chinese were bad at? Oh, yeah. They infect other nation computers with malware. That's horrible. I mean, that's not even close to being cool. That's not even passive monitoring. That's an aggressive attack on a network. Oh, that's not them either. I love the top one, though. You know how you deny, certain countries will deny, saying like, how dare you accuse us of attacking your country? How dare you accuse us of trying to do corporate espionage on and America's like, how dare you accuse us of infecting Stuxnet on the Iranians? How dare you? We cannot be guilty of that wonderfully executed, well thought out and programmed in advanced techniques. We have nothing to do with that artistic display of hackery. Can't be us. You're welcome. It's like, so I love that. It's like that just took some audacious arrogance to get that going through, right? But they managed it. But that's okay because they're not China. What else are they upset about? Oh, they try to censor the press. That's not good. Luckily in America we have the First Amendment, so we're good. I don't know about you guys, but we got the First Amendment. We're sort of protected. I love it. This one right here. If you're not familiar with Barrett Brown, you should be. And one of the key things that I just recently saw in this clip. The federal government was actually trying to tell the judge to stop him from reporting about the government to say not nice things about, because he was saying, I don't know where he gets off of saying bad things about the government that's prosecuting him. There we go. That was smooth. Okay, there we go. So they were upset because he was saying not nice things about them and hurting their feelings. Ungrateful is what I say, okay? It's like, I mean, come on. They're being nice enough to give you federal housing and you get like free meals. I mean, what else are you getting this? I mean, why is he complaining? But they were just afraid of him saying some bad things, so they told the judge, you shouldn't really let him talk bad about us. It's not because of us. We're just afraid for him. It's like we don't want him to be uncomfortable, so you need to tell him to stop talking about anything. So, yay us, right? What about they try to suppress protesters? That's not cool. I love this picture. This picture is awesome because this picture is, I kid you not, this is what it was called. It was called the free speech zone during the George W. Bush administration. You can tell the free speech zone by the guys with the machine guns and the metal barricades. It's right there. Yeah, that's where it's at. That's some Orwellian stuff right there. It's like the free speech zone. Another thing that upset me was the new evidence that the U.S. Army hired spies to go undercover among local anti-war protesters. What they don't say in that clip, the anti-war protesters were the Quakers. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's like one step above the Amish. I mean, how are you going after those guys? It's like, I mean, are you really afraid of that, like, you know, in that living room when they're having their coffee and stuff, you know, I really disagree with the way this war is going. That's a threat. But I guess so, because we had to send in agents. So basically, what I was comically trying to explain is we're all doing it. When it comes to nation states, when it comes to countries spying on other countries and doing other spy country-ish things and cyber warfare-ish things, we're all doing it. Look at this map. This map shows all the different command and control locations around the world. Do you see a country or a region that does not have someone doing something bad? Look at, you even have Canada up there, the Canadians. I mean, I can imagine that evil hacker there going, excuse me, pardon me, I'm going to have to pwn your network. I apologize. You know, it's like, I mean, seriously, I mean, if we got there's no hope for the world if the Canadians are going after somebody, right? It's like, this is all there is to it. So, I mean, that's just sad. We're all doing it. And to sum that up, and to stop this whole talk about nation states, just understand there are no innocent parties in this mixture, okay? We're all guilty. We're all doing it. Just jump off the bridge. So let's get to where I wanted my talk to start, which was around the world in 80 days. But, you know, I decided to be funny and put the cons in there because it blended well. So what I did in this talk was basically based on my experience of going to different conferences around the world. I noticed different hacking cultures, and I, being the tourist, the outsider, decide to say, hey, I'm American. I know what's going on here. I'll take that and say that that's what's happening. So I decided to just go around and start saying, I'm going to collect all these stories and figure out what's going on and why a hacking culture is different in Asia than it's different in Europe, how it's different in South America. And so I'm going to tell a little story about my perception, about my actual experience at a conference, but then I'm going to ask someone else. I sent out a survey to people all over the world and asked them to fill out this survey. And then I started getting the answers back. And that's what surprised me. So let's start off with the first place. Let's go back to China. It's like one of my best memories, and one of the eye-opening, what started this whole adventure was in September of 2008, I got my passport for the very first time, okay? November of 2008, I decided to go to my first conference overseas, Beijing. Why go small? And it's like, so I go over to Beijing. It's like I go over to this conference, and I am scared, okay? I haven't been so scared since I was homeless. It's like I was scared. I was like, what's going to happen? What's going to do? I get there to this conference. It's called XCon in Beijing, and I was welcomed. It's like I had people like talking to me. It's like it was a very formal conference. It was such a great experience. Once I get past what everybody has conditioned and explained to me what it was going to be like, I was able to see how cool it was. I actually talked to a police officer from the Shanghai cybercrimes unit. We were talking and stuff over coffee. Well, I was Pepsi Light, but he had coffee. So we were talking over that, and he was explaining to me the troubles that he was having doing convictions of people committing cybercrimes in China. He was talking about how he needed more staff and stuff, to go after these kind of attacks. I mean, halfway through the conversation, I basically wanted to go, come on, bring it in here. Get a hug. It's going to be okay. I felt bad. It's like we don't realize that everybody is dealing with that situation. It was that moment, it was that conference that really opened up my eyes. And the only thing that I learned with perfect certainty is that I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything, and I could not expect to know what a place was like until I'd actually been there and tried to stay there and tried to visit and live there to understand what was going on. And until that point, my opinions don't matter because they're not based on fact, they're based on what other people were telling me. So let's go to a survey. Here's how I asked a whole bunch of questions. These are the 4 questions I ended up being consistent on. So the first question was, what country are you more familiar with? This one's from India. He says, how did you find out about hacking? He's like, the Matrix movie. Cool people hacked into the Matrix and did cool kung fu. Hey, it worked, right? You know, the guy's a good hacker. In your region, how is hacking seen by the general public? Negative. Is hacking seen in your region as more for crime, hacktivist, nation state, or other? Seen as crime. What's up with that? All right, well, let's go on. Let's go to the next one. Woo! Europe. It's like, I will have to tell you, and I'm being honest with you, I'm not trying to butter up Nuit the Hack. They've already got me on stage, so it's too late now. I'm just being honest. One of my best experiences that I've had in Europe was coming to Nuit the Hack. As a DEF CON fanboy, it's like I have never seen such a collection of just pure hacker spirit, hacker ethos being done here. People talking to people, people trying to just introduce. When I came here 4 years ago, I was overwhelmed. I do not have one negative experience. I have not met one negative person my whole entire time at these conferences for the last 4 years. And I have enjoyed it immensely. And it's just, that was what really got me. It's like, I just loved how, because I came over here and stuff, you know, and I didn't know how it was going to be. And I was like, okay. It's like, and I was at first intimidated by the room. But you know what? I see all the people, and people are coming up to me and talking to me and wanting to learn. And it's like, and I was learning so much with so many people. I got so many tricks and stuff, you know, and learned so many things over the hours and stuff, you know, that this goes on. It was amazing. It's like, so thank you, Nuit the Hack, for that. But that was one of my best experiences in Europe, has been at this conference every single year. So let's go to talking to someone else that was from Europe. I say he's from Croatia. He says, I've traveled a lot, but since I've lived here all my life, the answer is the same. He says, how did you find out about hacking? The term, probably the movie Hackers. Let's face it, Angelina Jolie has got more people into hacking and stuff than any other, you know, avenue out there, I think. It's all from that movie Hackers. So he says, in your region, how is it seen? He says, the media portrays hackers as criminal masterminds that infiltrate systems from their dark rooms. I'm sure you know the cliche quite well. Unfortunately, I do, and I think we all do. He says, is hacking in your region seen as more for crime, hacktivist, nation state, and other? Crime. This is where I'm starting to get a little annoyed. Once again, my passion, my art, my livelihood, crime. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the Brazil. It's like I went to a conference there in Recife, Brazil. And the funniest part was, and this is the only good story I got from Brazil because I only went one time, so you're gonna it's very repetitive, but still, I was having dinner, speaker dinner, and one of the Brazilian hackers was talking to me, and he was explaining to me one of the problems he had about being a hacker in Brazil. And I was like, what was that? He's like, well, hacking in Brazil is really not illegal. No one really cares. We're not cool. The girls don't think we're cool because we're outlaws or anything. And I'm like, I'm sorry? Maybe you'll get arrested? I mean, how do you answer that? It's like, I did not know where to go with that one. It's like, but the good news is that just recently in the last year or so, they've passed laws now in Brazil making it illegal, so yay? Yeah, I don't know how to go with that one. But that was his experience. That was his take on it. So let's talk to another guy from Brazil. He says, how did you find out about hacking? I love this answer. Trying to get things done. Is there a more succinct answer about hacking than that right there? That is what hacking is about. I'm trying to get things done. He says, in your region, how is hacking seen by the general public? Nowadays, it's a mix of good and bad. People sort of understand it. Back in the day, the early 90s, internet wasn't quite widespread. BBSs or stolen credentials to universities were the way to go. At that point in time, unless you were doing something, you wouldn't really be aware of hacking. With online banking being implemented in 96, 97, bankers' activity started increasing quickly in Brazil. Bankers' activity means, you know, the credit card theft and attacking banks' websites. Is hacking in your region seen as more for crime, hacktivist, nation, state, or other? Considering that those don't know anything about it, just see the stuff in the news, mostly tied to crime, and sometimes hacktivism. In the corporate world, a better understanding to ethical hacking. 3 continents so far, people, but the same answer, seen as crime. So let's talk about Africa. Africa is the one I cheat because it's like the only place I've been to in Africa was Egypt. And so I claim going to the continent of Africa because I was going to Egypt, but a lot of my friends from the Middle East are like, Jason, it's in the Middle East. It's, no, it's in Africa. I see it on the map, okay? It's like, I mean, us Americans aren't the greatest with maps, okay? But I know for a fact that it's there. So we're going to count that as Africa. And I went to my first conference there, and it was so awesome because they didn't understand who I was because I was disguised as a normal person. I had a suit on. And I felt so sorry for those people because they really were like, they were all professional, and they were all like, even the college kids were wearing, I mean, those were college kids, dressed all nice and professional, going to an event. And then here I am going like, ha ha, it's like I'm at HackerCon, you know, and it's like I had a blast. They didn't even realize I was like doing the bunny ears. One kid, you know that picture you take, and let's face it, I take it myself to this day, so I know we all take them. That picture you take in front of the banner of the conference that you're at, you know this picture? Yeah, that one. So there was one of the students was taking that picture in front of the banner in Cairo, and it's like, and it was awesome because it was the best photobomb I ever did. I was 20 feet behind him going like this. It's like he didn't see it until after it was developed. It was great. I ruined his whole moment. Hopefully I didn't ruin his whole experience with hacking, but you know, it happens. So that was my experience in Africa. But let's go a little bit more into Africa by talking about South Africa. It says, how did you find out about hacking? When trying to call UK long distance numbers from South Africa during apartheid. That's some motive. That's some definite motive of trying to get something done and finding a way around a system that was trying to keep you from doing it. Once again, hacker spirit. In your region, how is hacking seen by the general public? There is still a stigma attached to hacking, as in hacking into network apps over buildings is seen as more criminal than anything. As your hacking in your region seems more for crime, the media have dictated the views of hackers in most countries, so it's hard to put a positive slant on it. Also, criminals and genuine hackers are put into the same category. Anybody else starting to get depressed? I'm trying to be as funny as I can, but is anybody else starting to get a little bit depressed about this? Anybody else just a little bit upset that this is what's going on? This is the trend that's showing? Right. I hope I'm not the only one. Well, let's talk about the Middle East. It's like I've been to several countries in the Middle East. I've been to Qatar, Lebanon, Jordan, Cyprus. It's like I get around in that area. And one of my first experiences was in Beirut, Lebanon, and I'm having a little lunch thing with someone, and this was a hacker there. There was a junior hacker there. He just started, you know, he was just like trying to get into professional pen testing, and he was a great guy, and he wanted to impress me and show me what his skills were like. So he's like, he opens up his laptop, and I'm thinking he's going to show me a program or something he's written, and what he shows me is that he has root access on their national telecom system. Okay. It's like, I'm like, what are you doing with that? And he's like, well, nothing. He still pays his telephone bill. He's never accessed anybody else's account. He hasn't changed or modified anything in their network. He just has had root access on it for 5 years. It's like, I'm like, good for you. And that's sort of what it's like there. In that region, I've seen so many people that are, it's very compartmentalized. Their security, they consider their security from the physical aspect, from the individual aspect. If I secure everybody that matters, everybody that's like individually, then we're all protected. But you go to their national infrastructure and you go to their routers that control their whole broadband for their country, and you see that their router password is Cisco. Not cool? So it's like, so that was one of the things that I learned from there. So let's go. See, here's where I cheated, because I mentioned Egypt earlier, but I'm going to mention them again in the Middle East frame, because this was a great answer, and I love telling this one. He says, like, how did you find out about hacking? I caught a virus in 2005 because a certain person, downloaded a pirated game and it was backdoored. Wondered how those virus worms worked. Learned some programming first by viewing sample viruses sources, and walked that road and never went back. That is awesome. Basically what he's saying is, someone pwned me. I didn't like it. I didn't want to be a victim, so I learned how it was done, and I can start doing it myself. That's awesome. It's like, so that's a great response. In your region, how is hacking seen by the general public? Hacking is generally viewed as hacking people's Facebook and Yahoo accounts. How sad is that, people? Take a moment and understand how sad it is over in that country, okay, that you're hacking Yahoo accounts. Really? Yahoo? Okay, sorry, I digress. Okay, is hacking in your region seen as more for crime, hacktivist, nation state, or other? Most view it as a crime. Few know about hacktivism. In the country who started or helped start the Arab Spring and Tahrir Square, they still don't even realize most about the hacktivism. They see it as crime. Again. So let's talk about America. It's like one of the places, the conferences I like to talk about there, because it does remind me a little bit about Know It to Hack, is DerbyCon. DerbyCon is a great conference because of the fact that it's so friendly and so open. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you're presenting or your first time you've ever been to a conference in your whole entire life. It doesn't matter. Everybody is talking to everybody else. Everybody's meeting. Everybody is open to the exchange of information. Everybody's willing to make a new friend. And by golly, isn't that what a conference is supposed to be about? It's like, I come to a conference to learn and to make connections and make new friends. It's like, so I just rant in between the times. So that was a great conference to talk about when you're talking about America. So what country are you more familiar with? USA. How did you find out about hacking? That's another great answer. Second nature. Because quite honestly, isn't it? And we'll talk about that a little bit later, actually. In your region, how is hacking seen by the general public? Negative. Is hacking in your region seen as more for crime, hacktivist, state, or other? Both crime, weave, and hacktivist, Occupy Wall Street. Okay. This is the point where I stopped. This is the point where I started to question to myself, what am I doing giving a talk on hacking culture and diversity and how we're different? I wanted to give a talk, basically, how hackers in Malaysia were like doing a lot of hackerspace activity and getting a communal going on, how the German hackers and stuff, were such privacy advocates, how the reverse malware going on in Russia, the carding activity in Brazil, the maker things and stuff in the US. I wanted to talk about the diversity of our culture, and instead, all I got was one common theme that united us: we're criminals. When did that happen? When did that occur? Because that was not always the way it was. We didn't start from criminals. The history of hacking does not begin in a jail cell. It began with these people, these hackers. Alan Turing, the father of cryptography, broke the Enigma machine, saved thousands upon thousands of lives, and his society thanked him by having him chemically castrated until and then he went and existed until he committed suicide. That was his thanks for the gifts that he gave to this world. What about Nikola Tesla, one of the true fathers of open source? We are denied so many of his inventions because of the fact He didn't want to make money off of it. And American corporations were going, well, we can't have any of that. That doesn't sound cool. Forget that. We're going to go with this Edison guy. He wants to make a buck. He died alone in his hotel room. It took the maid 2 days to discover that he was dead. His self-proclaimed love was a pigeon that he nursed back to health that he found in Central Park. That was his reward for what he gave to the world. And he was a hacker. What about Paul Gallet, Belgium? I know Al Gore likes to talk about how he made the internet, okay? I got a surprise for you. He did in 1934. He came up with the foundation and the blueprints of what the internet should be and what it has become. Until he died destitute in 1944, because who wants to talk about, building up world peace and countries working together united through an interconnection of networks, right? There's no money in that. And what about Ada Lovelace? She was the first computer programmer. She was the first computer programmer until she was ostracized by her family, and then the treatment for her cancer is actually what killed her. And I want to answer, and I want to give my only and one statement when we talk about women in tech. Because a lot of the stuff on Twitter and a lot of the debates that you hear, we have all these constant debates about, well, women in tech, should women be allowed in tech? I got news for you. Women started this industry. They let men into it. Women were the ones that created it. So that's my statement on that. What happened here? What happened to these hackers? Why is it like that? I would like to talk to you about Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci, I think, is an uber hacker. He is one of the best hackers ever recorded in history. But he died really well. People loved him. He was well adored by all his friends. He was surrounded by family when he died. And Prince let him retire into this really big mansion. So that didn't fit my story. I'm trying to manipulate emotions, so we'll forget about him. So let's get back to all these other things that happened to these other hackers. Why does it have to be that way? Why did we become criminals? When did we become the villain in the story? Because I'm not going to talk about 200 years ago. I'm not going to talk about 100 years ago. Let's talk about what's going on now. I'm not going to say if this person's guilty or innocent. I'm going to tell you about their crime, what they were convicted of. Jeremy Hammond, 10 years for hacking. Weave got 10 years for hacking. It was overturned, but they were still trying to prosecute him, and a jury convicted him for doing browser directory, something mostly every person in this room has done. Max Ray Butler, 13 years for hacking. Roman Vega, 18 years for hacking. Albert Gonzalez, 20 years for hacking. Did the sentence fit the crime? I've gotten to the point where I was like, this seems a little heavy-handed. Let me put some context for it, okay? Let me give you some context. Malek Richmond, 1 year for rape. Gerhard Becker, 1 year for involuntary manslaughter. He was responsible for the death of a firefighter that was supposed to be saving lives, who died because of him. So he got a year. Trent Mays, 2 years for rape. Seth Hornberger, 3 to 6 years for voluntary manslaughter. Means they couldn't get him for murder. He pleaded down to voluntary manslaughter. You got Jessica Ferratio, 5 years for murder of a 23-month-old boy that she bashed his head in. She got 5 years. If you're not disgusted by now, you should be. I basically tell people, my advice to you, if you want to commit a computer crime, make sure you kill somebody in the same room so you'll get a lesser sentence. Because that's the way it seems to be, right? And why is that? Someone gave me an interesting opinion on it. They said it's because, Jason, it's like murder and rape and manslaughter and those kind of things. Well, we're used to that. We dealt with that for thousands of years, which, basically is slightly depressing as well, right? But we know how to get it, so we don't really consider that. But hacking is new and exciting, and it's unusual, and we don't know what to deal with that. Basically summed up, We like to be these mystical hackers. But when people don't understand you, they fear you. And what they fear, they try to destroy. It is human nature. So good luck with our mysterious act, because this is what's happening to us. So let's talk about some other criminals. Here are some criminals. Back in the 1970s, they somehow got access to an administrator password and used it to steal the company's internal accounting file. Alan doesn't go into detail about how they got the password. They were hoping to decrypt the file to get free of the accounts. These criminals, Paul Allen and Bill Gates, what was their punishment besides inflicting windows on the world? Their punishment was they were denied computer access at school. That's how they were punished. Okay? Does that seem fair? Actually, it does. It's like they didn't really harm anybody. They didn't really harm any of the systems. They were just trying to, so they got denied access. What about these guys? These two outlaws, Wozniak and Jobs. Well, Wozniak was offering a guarantee on the illegal product in such a quirky way which appealed to Wozniak's sense of humor. It's kind of strange in itself. It's kind of unusual, but I felt it was worth the joke. It's like basically they sold blue boxes, illegal devices that were against the law in the United States that were specifically designed to circumvent this phone system and commit fraud on a company. And he put a little note inside each one of the boxes that was the warranty in case it broke, he would fix it for you. That was a crime. They were not just committing crime, they profited off a crime. But we showed them who's got the latest iPhone. Exactly. It's like that was their reward. But you know what? I mean, it was just defrauding a national telecom of millions of dollars. It wasn't that bad, you know. It's not like they did this. Because in 2010, another young man who had already founded a multi-million-dollar company broke into a utility closet at MIT. He hooked up a laptop to the campus network and downloaded 4 million academic journal articles, most of them already in the public domain, from a paid archive to which he had a subscription. He paid for the subscription already with his money. He was arrested, indicted twice on multiple counts of fraud, and at a trial that was to have begun in April, could have faced 50 years in federal prison and $1 million fine. His name was Aaron Swartz, and he was hounded to death by the government. In 40 years, we went from you're bad to you're bad. Once again, the education is out there. Where did it happen? Where did it change? Why did we become, from even 40 years ago, hackers being okay, being explorers, being mischievous little miscreants on someone else's network, to being electronic terrorist? How did that happen? Well, I got a good inkling on how that happened. Could it be something like this? Look at these articles here, people. That's not a hacker. That's like the Nazgul. I mean, I see that. Every time I see that picture, I want to throw a ring at it and say, go away. How do we get that? I've got a computer room in my house that's got its own air conditioning unit just for that one room. I have never been so cold in my whole entire life that I needed to put the hoodie up and a ski mask on to do my work. Never. But that's what it appears to be. That's how we're seen. I like one guy who's putting his hoodie down now, like, oops, maybe I should put it down right now. It's like, yeah, that might be a good idea. Wait till after the talk. We're cool. It's like, but that's what we're seen as. That's how they see us. Who wouldn't be afraid of that? And how do they get this image? How do they keep thinking of us like that? Well, maybe we help just a little bit. Maybe we just like that mystique. Maybe we like being the mysterious hackers every once in a while. Maybe I'm not going to talk to you more about this picture because I think those guys are Mossad and I'm afraid of them. But let's just talk about maybe we actually try to make that image just a little bit scary. Okay? Those guys are actually scary, so let's go on. So then you look at this. This is how the news
portrays the good guys. Welcome to the Cyber U. Raytheon joins with colleges to train the next generation of net ninjas. First of all, every person in that room could be sitting in this audience, and I really wouldn't even notice the difference. There's even a guy in here wearing plaid. I mean, come on. We're all the same. But these guys are net ninjas, and quite frankly, I like to call myself a ninja. Those are no ninjas. Okay, I know a ninja when I see one. Those guys aren't ninjas. But there they are. They're seen all open-faced with their computers. And the guy doesn't even have hacker stickers on his laptop. What kind of hacker is that? Seriously. Okay, so there we go. That's how they're seen. This is how they see our video games. Glenn Beck criticizes Watch Dogs for promoting hacking. What the heck is wrong with us? Well, you know, that's a good question, Glenn Beck, because that's the question I'm asking about. What the heck is wrong with us? If you think that's an issue, if you think that you can learn hacking from pushing A repeatedly on a video game controller, that means you think you can serve in armed forces because you play Call of Duty. See how well that works for you in the real world. So it's like, but my best response comes from Bravo Hacks on Twitter. He says, I hear Watch Dogs teaches you how to hack, going to expense for educational training purposes and submit for CISSP creds. To me, that's the best response for it. Because if that's what it can do, let's benefit from it, right? That's the true hacker mentality right there. It's like, oh, if you're going to say that's what it's supposed to be, well, then I'm going to play it to my advantage. Because why not? It's what I do. But here's one of the worst ones, and I'm going to walk around and make the camera guy upset. I hate this guy, and I don't mean like hate, like a really personal hate. I just hate like, you know, oh, I hate that stuff on the bottom of my shoe. But this guy, Sterling Riggs, from Louisville news station, he wrote on his Facebook page, and I'm gonna read to you and how I'm sure this is how he said it, okay? I don't know how I feel about this DerbyCon thing happening in the Hyatt downtown. It's a convention for computer hackers. Sessions include password cracking, hacker war games, and a lock-picking pavilion. Thoughts? That's exactly the way I think he said it, okay? Well, there were some responses to that post because that sounds terrifying, right? A computer hacker convention? Well, Greg Troutman said the police and FBI should raid the convention and arrest all the people who are doing the training. Yeah, because that seems reasonable, and some of the FBI were probably in attendance at the conference. Michelle Perry's like, scary. Poor Darcy was so scared she could only use an emoticon. She couldn't even type. And then you got Connie going, I bet no arrest, more like employment opportunities. Yeah, there actually were. It's like Jenny Smith, wow, that's insane. No, I think this thread is. Sean Goodman, what about classes on mugging, car theft, and whatever, because I'm being funny. Brenda Newton Rogue is, Sean, that's next week, LOL. She's the funny one of the group. And then Amber Nicole says, I think it's stupid. You didn't capitalize I, Amber. I think you're stupid. And then Jinjin goes, just sums it all up perfectly, arrest them all. Seriously, the targeted ads for Facebook on this thread were for pitchforks and fire. That's basically all they were concerned with. And so what happened to this thread? Well, Iron Geek saw it. Iron Geek Adrian Crenshaw saw this. So what did he do? He tweeted out to the world saying, hey guys, there's a link here to this thread on Facebook and they're talking about us. What should we do? Well, we're hackers. You know what we did? We started commenting with facts. We started educating the people in the thread. We started giving reasonable, logical responses to the insanity. I mean, we trolled a little bit too. We're hackers, right? But we gave logical responses and answers. We normalized this thread. We helped sway the opinions of these people by showing them what we were talking about and what we were about. So what did Sterling Riggs Jerkoff do? He did the only thing he could do when confronted with that kind of reasonable response. He deleted the thread. These are the only screenshots of it available. Because that's what the media wants. We need to fit the narrative. You're a hacker. You don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You wear a hoodie. You wear black T-shirts. You've got weird cargo pants. It's like you don't look right. It's like you stay in a computer room all the time and you play video games. It's like you make lots of money. It's like and all these other things that hackers do. That's what the media narrative is. And by golly, you better stick to it. Because that's what we like, right? We like the narrative. I'm not a hypocrite, right? I'm not guilty of putting someone in a narrative and saying that that's the truth until I am. Because guess what, guys? I'm a hypocrite. Are y'all familiar with the McDonald's hot coffee lady from the U.S.? This was very famous back in the last decade or two, about in the 90s. This lady spilled coffee on herself at McDonald's and sued and got $2.9 million just because she got a little bit of hot coffee on her. Now everybody's got cups that say, warning, hot coffee, like we don't know it's hot. Now we got toothpaste to say, please put on your mouth. It's like just because of this lady and her trying to get a lawyer and trying to make money off of a poor innocent company. How horrible is she? I mean, she is literally a joke in the media. She is nothing but someone that is greedy, trying to get her, look at her hand. Her hand got burned a little bit with the coffee. And she wanted to make all that money. That's all she was concerned about. That is a great narrative, people. That is a great story on what's wrong with greedy Americans trying to sue everybody. There's only one problem with that narrative. It's not true. This lady got third-degree burns over 15% of her body, requiring skin grafts to repair them. She was in a parked car when she spilled the coffee. McDonald's served the coffee at 180 to 190 degrees Fahrenheit. And I don't know what that converts to Celsius, but we're going to say it's hot. Okay? All those highlighted in pink are people admitted to the emergency room for scalded coffee. She was not alone. Her response, from McDonald's response to her when she went to him saying, hey, I need help with the bills. Here's $800 and a Happy Meal. Leave us alone. She was sued. She got $2.89 million. You know what that sum is? That's not an arbitrary sum, people. That was the profits for 2 days of coffee sales. That didn't even include the nuggets. That was just the coffee sales. And she received less than $500,000 of that if she got a penny. So that was the narrative. That was what the media story. If they can do that to her, why are we surprised that they're doing it to us? I have met the McDonald's hot coffee lady, people, and she is us. We need to be more active. We need our voice. Because we know there's something wrong. We know there's something. And when hackers find out that there's something wrong, what do? Well, we get discouraged, we give up, and we just say, that's the way life is, right? I don't think so. We know where the problem lies. It's the way the media portrays us. We know that the narrative needs to be changed. And there are people out there trying to change the narrative. They can't do it alone. I love Dave Kennedy. Dave Kennedy is a guy who you may have seen on Fox News and MSNBC and Fox News and CNN and Fox News. He was on the Katie Couric show, which is a really good episode you should see on YouTube. He was also on Fox News. It's like a really good guy. It's like one of the best things that he has done for this community, besides giving us the social engineering toolkit, is that he gets on television and he says to the camera, I'm a hacker, let me help secure you. Because everybody should be reassured when we say we're from the internet and we're here to help. That's the way it should be. And these other people, Once and Evan Booth and Dan Kaminsky, they're hackers, and they're on the news giving that story. And they're leading that charge. But guess what? They're not the only ones that should be doing it. What is stopping you from doing the same thing? Talking to your local newspaper, talking to your local TV station. When there's a security incident in the news, they don't need to hear from every expert in the world. They would like to hear from you that can tell someone in a logical way, in a way that people can understand what the problem is and know that a hacker is out there trying to help secure them, trying to make the world better for them. That's where the message should be coming from. It should be coming from us. We're the voice out there. And our voice is getting weaker because we're letting the media create that narrative. And we're not fighting back on it. Because if we don't do it, guys like this will. There are plenty of people out there that don't mind the fame. There are plenty of people out there that are just trying to make a buck. There are plenty out there that don't want to hack. They just want to write checks. People like this guy. We don't need to be this guy. We need to be that voice. Because we're hackers. And I am telling you this. I know of no other industry on the planet that doesn't just try to make a profit, that doesn't just try to make what they do and sell that. They try to go and try to make the world better. We try to change not just what we do in our industry, we try to seek out and make other opportunities. You've got Blood Code at DEF CON. It is Nevada's largest blood drive in Nevada state history, was at a hacker conference. A hacker conference did that. Not any other location. You've got missionaries in Uganda doing tech support for other missionaries and charities. You've got China Eagle here from China. He's the Johnny Long of China. He brings out computer systems to the rural areas of Western China and puts them in. He's a great patriot for his country. He hates cybercrime. Of course, the funny thing about Americans is we love patriots, but we just don't realize that other countries can have them too. It's like, but yes, he is a great patriot who loves his country, who's dedicated to helping the people in his area. Why do we need to change? Why is it important for us to change the narrative? Because it's not about just us. We're starting to breed. We're creating offspring. Do you want to leave the next generation of hackers in a world where they are criminals? Do you want the next generation to see only the bad that comes into the world? Do you want them to say in lower terms, yeah, I'm a computer hacker? No. One of the best moments of my life came when I was at an elementary school with my daughter. She's walking me down the hallway holding my hand. A classmate comes up. She looks up at me and she says, "This is my daddy. He's a hacker." It's one of the best moments of my life. I used to tell her I was also a ninja, but then the school kids made fun of her and so I had to stop that. But still, it was great because she sees me as a hacker and she sees that that is good. What happens when she gets older and starts reading the news? What is she going to say about hacking then? If we don't change the narrative, it's going to be bad. Look at these others. These are other kids, other hackers. This is what hacking should be. This is the future. And trust me, it's not a bleak future because even hackers have children that can have hoodies. So even the little ones have hoodies. We're all on the right road to being a hacker. So once again, people, understand that hacking is not a talent that we learn. It is human nature. It is part of being human. It is our children creating the stuff. We don't have to just say, I wonder how do you become a hacker? I tell them, you are a hacker. You just don't have the formal education or you don't have the drive to learn and see all the things you can do with it. But everyone has that hacking instinct in them. It is second nature. Huh? This guy is totally about to tackle me. It's like, so that means I'm done. Don't tackle me. There's no need for it to give me questions. I'm going to be here all night. It's like I want to talk and have conversation, so find me somewhere. And I'll have an awkward hug or two to give out. So see you then.
Thank you.